All right, everybody, I'm Tony Gaglione.
I'm Sean Adams.
This is segment 2 of Smacktalk. We're going to talk about this game that we're watching here that I guess everybody's kind of falling asleep with.
Yeah, it's not really a game. Both games. This is a horrible Monday night.
Why is it a horrible Monday night? Detroit just demolished the Giants.
Yeah, because everyone that stayed up on the West or the East Coast to watch that game is a Giants fan.
We got a Giants fan right here behind the bar.
No.
Everybody's got to buy him a shot in pity because he's a Giants fan.
Yeah, but nobody even lives in Detroit anymore. And this game right here is literally puts you to sleep. These two teams played a game in the preseason. They kicked 9 field goals against each other. We've got 3 already in the first half. That's it.
Dude, Arizona's defense, as far as I'm concerned, is controlling the game. Because San Diego doesn't have a defense, and Phillip Rivers, this is supposed to be San Diego's year to come out, and, they're supposed to be
San Diego's year.
The ESPN, everybody and their mother.
Listen to ESPN?
Is ESPN ever right?
No.
No.
Never.
But the point of the matter is this is what the quote-unquote experts say. And they say, San Diego, this is their year. They're going to beat Denver, they're going to win division. I don't see much of anything. I see a last-place team right now, as far as I'm concerned. What do you see in this?
It's week 1, so I'm not gonna leave the jury out. Nothing new from Phillip Rivers, still throwing picks.
You know what's sad to me?
Ryan Matthews is still not the back.
No.
That they had Michael Turner and LaDainian Tomlinson, Darren Sproles.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate.
They had 3 good running backs.
And now they have Ryan Matthews.
And now they have Ryan back. He even got rid of Mike Tolbert, who went to Carolina, who was like at least a goal line guy.
Yeah, he's third down guy and pounded in. The thing that kills me is you got the best wide receiver in the league, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm sure that you agree, in Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
And
not even getting the ball.
You have Carson Palmer throwing to him. So, okay, before that you had John Skelton. You had
Larry Fitzgerald looked good when Kurt Warner was throwing the ball.
Yes, he's the most underused wide receiver in the entire league, which is really, really disappointing for a guy that should be putting up numbers that surpass Calvin Johnson.
Yeah. The thing is Carson Palmer's career ended when his knee got blown out in that playoff loss to Pittsburgh. That's just the fact. He's never been the same player.
No, you're right. You're in Cincinnati. Yeah, he definitely lost that there.
Carson Palmer was a great quarterback in Cincinnati.
Yeah, he was.
Until that happened.
No, I agree 100%. Robert Mathis, defensive end for Indianapolis, out for the year with a torn Achilles. Does this make that big of a difference for Indianapolis, or are they still a playoff team?
You know, Robert Mathis is more than just a sack guy. He's, it's hard to replace a guy that's been there so long, that's been an anchor on your defense, because where teams, they had Freeney and Mathis, they couldn't run away. Now they got some Vernon.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. So Dwight Freeney basically contributed to half of Robert Mathis's sacks, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, and now that you don't
the
have
other end, you don't have the 1-2 punch on the end.
If I'm playing Indianapolis, I'm running to the left every time.
just run away from Robert Mathis.
No, run at the guy that's supposed to be replacing him.
Okay, you're running against the backup. No, I understand. Yeah. Peyton Manning just tore that defense apart. Let's talk about guys who had big games for fantasy owners last year.
Fantasy football is huge in America. If anyone doesn't play fantasy football, you're probably crazy. But probably the biggest day wasn't a surprise because it's like first-round draft pick Julius Thomas.
Julius Thomas single-handedly beat me in fantasy football yesterday in my money league, which is really disappointing.
In the first half.
3 touchdowns in the first half, and didn't do much in the second half, but they were basically controlling the clock. Yeah. So Peyton Manning doesn't know how to stop passing, so I don't know how Julius Thomas didn't get
more.
Any more points.
Spread it around,
3 touchdowns. Le'Veon Bell, huge for a guy who just got caught smoking weed and should be suspended.
Getting high.
No, that's cool.
Chiefing it up. Him and LeGarrette Blount.
Yeah, we can have Ray Rice suspended. Well, he was suspended for 2 games. But if you smoke weed, it's all good. Don't worry about it. The NFL's going to let you play.
Yeah, it is.
LeGarrette Blount and him, the number 1 and number 2 running backs, still played.
They both scored a touchdown.
And they both got caught for smoking weed 2 weeks ago.
Le'Veon Bell had 106 rushing yards, 88 reception yards, almost had 200 yards total production. Looked really good. I don't think he'll get suspended until next year.
That's unfortunate because their little stupid appeal process that goes on
is
the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. a guy gets caught, gets a DUI because he got a DUI on that, and he got caught for marijuana possession, and they're going to not suspend him. They're going to say basically he's suspended for 4 games pending appeal.
Yeah, exactly.
So basically he just appeals it, he sits there, and he smokes weed and plays a game. No Sean Moreno,
that's a
guy that I said was going to be awesome in Miami.
Yeah, and to be completely honest with everybody, Tony forgot to set his fantasy lineup on Thursday and forgot to start Marshawn Lynch.
Yes, I did.
Who had a beast game. And I
ended up with Frank Gore as my other running back who got 6.6 points, which was awesome because I just wanted to kill myself when that happened.
Yeah.
Marshawn Lynch got 24.
Yeah, and No Sean Moreno got 19, so.
Yeah, No Sean Moreno, 134 yards and a touchdown, showing that he is a featured back in the NFL. I don't think that it had anything to do with Peyton Manning last year. I think that his receiving yards had a lot to do with Peyton, but he's not going to get that with Ryan Tannehill.
There's a reason why he was drafted in the first round.
Damn right.
And he's showing it, and I think No Sean Moreno will be another one of those running backs that gets let go from a team, and then the team ends
and proves everybody wrong.
Right.
Yeah, and he was in a top 5 team in Georgia at the time when he played in the SEC. So how can you? It's kind of like Michael Sam. Like I don't see just because the guy's gay you have to release him from the Rams. The guy led the team in tackles in preseason.
He was the SEC
Defensive Player of the Year,
yeah.
And nobody in the SEC as Defensive Player of the Year has ever been drafted as low as Michael Sam.
Yeah, 3rd was the lowest up until
absolutely ridiculous.
Another person, Darren Sproles. We talked about this in segment 1. Darren Sproles. Excellent pickup for Philadelphia. 4th and 1, 49-yard rushing TD. He had 2 big returns. Matt Ryan, we talked about this as well, had 448-yard passing, 3 TDs. The fantasy pickup of Week 1.
If anybody picked him up.
If anyone had this guy, you're a fantasy genius. Tell me who to start next week because Allen Hurd, undrafted rookie, starts for Jacksonville. He becomes the first NFL rookie to ever score 2 TDs and 100 yards receiving in the first quarter of his debut game.
Absolutely ridiculous. And who's his quarterback? Chad Henne.
Chad
Henne. The backup quarterback from Michigan most of the time until his senior year when they had nobody else and they had to put him in. Absolutely ridiculous.
Tony Romo had an excellent day fantasy. San Francisco Tony Romo.
Oh, yeah.
The one that plays for San Francisco. He threw three picks.
Right.
A.J. Green, we talked about this. He had a 77-yard game-winning TD. J.J. Watt had an excellent defensive game.
Swat.
Yeah, the biggest surprise for me was on the Minnesota Vikings. Cordell Patterson.
That's not a surprise for me.
The wide receiver outrushed Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
On 3 carries, 102 yards.
On the end around. On the end around. 2 end arounds.
Yeah.
Was insane. I saw this guy in preseason return kicks. He returned a 108-yard kick against the Chicago Bears, which is insane. Insane to return 108 yards. Dude, it doesn't matter. It's 108 yards. I'm not even talking about my team. Screw the Bears. They probably suck. Yeah, we're not making the playoffs. I understand. Point of the matter is,
you heard it here first, guys.
Yeah,
Bears
he
suck.
ran for a 108-yard kickoff return, dude. 108 yards.
Derek Anderson had a great game for Carolina.
And that's the only time you're going to see him, unfortunately, because Cam Newton's coming back next week.
You know, that's trade.
Derek Anderson is, I believe, the last person as a quarterback to lead the Cleveland Browns to the playoffs.
No, they didn't make the playoffs that year. They went 10-6. They lost the tiebreaker to the Pittsburgh Steelers. We lost in the first round to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
You lost to the Jaguars?
Yeah, to the David Gerard 4th and 2 QB sneak.
David Gerard?
I know the whole thing.
E.J. Manuel beat the Bears and beat them good.
Yeah, he 16 for 22, a lot better than last year's numbers because he didn't find the end zone at all.
No, he didn't have numbers last year.
Yeah, he had 173 passing yards. He had 1 TD, 1 interception, but he also had a rushing TD, and he helped control the game. Kind of looks like a game manager in Buffalo.
Which you should be in Buffalo because you don't have anything else besides defense and a couple running backs that are pretty good.
Spiller. Yeah.
That, like I said, a couple running backs.
33-year-old Fred Jackson.
Dude, Fred Jackson just demolished people yesterday.
Yeah. People or the Bears?
Chris Conte in particular.
Yeah, the stiff arm. That was
stiff
awesome.
arm.
Matt Forte, you know, the highlight for Chicago, 82 rushing yards, 87 receiving yards. Again, he's a dual threat. You could have easily had a touchdown in each one of those categories, and the Bears would have demolished the Bills.
The only unfortunate thing when you look at that game, I know you really don't want to talk about it, but too bad. When you look at that game, the thing is the turnovers, bro. Turnovers. When Jay Cutler throws interceptions, they don't win.
when Tony Romo throws interceptions, they don't win.
Yeah.
The Bears and the Cowboys have the same problem. It's the quarterback position.
Obviously.
You know,
Unfortunately,
and
I
sad
have
that-
to root for this frickin' guy.
Yeah, CJ2K and Chris Ivory of the Jets.
Two-headed monster.
The two-headed monster. CJ2K
Nice.
had 68 rush, 23 reception yards, but he had a big touchdown early in the game. And then Chris Ivory, in the fourth quarter,
He busts
breaks
like
out
a
a
60-yard?
71-yard
70 yards?
touchdown run.
Wow.
He had 10 carries for 102 yards and a touchdown. Between the two, they touched the ball 30 times. They averaged 6.8 yards per carry. On that Oakland Raiders defensive line, that many people said, ESPN, things like that, said that their defensive line was their strength of their defense.
Well,
And
obviously
it didn't look
not.
bad against the Jets. We did see Michael Vick for a play in a Wildcat offense.
How
Michael
you
Vick-
start Geno Smith over Michael Vick is insane to me. Insane. Rex Ryan and his foot fetish needs to go back and coach a defense somewhere because he's not a head coach. I can
Yeah.
guarantee you that.
Definitely.
He is awful.
And then we didn't put this guy on the list, but we watched it, the Cleveland-Pittsburgh game.
Oh, Terrence West. Yeah, dude.
This
Oh
guy
my
gets
God.
he gets to play because Ben Tate gets a knee injury in the first quarter, and he looks
He ran like a beast.
good.
He went in beast mode, like Marshawn Lynch
Yeah, he
style,
looks
and he
good.
was trucking people on
He
the
looks
Steelers
good.
defense.
Yeah, Terrence West.
You didn't
Watch
really
that
like
game.
to see it because it was your Steelers,
No, yeah,
but
it's my Steelers, but I mean, hey, if you're
he
playing
turned
fantasy football,
4-yard
waiver
losses
wire,
into 10-yard gains, and it was insane.
waiver wire, right there.
Yeah.
That's a solid
If you're a
pickup.
fantasy guy, then he's going to be your starter for Cleveland
Yeah.
for the next
Well,
at least 6 weeks
you think
until
6
Ben
weeks?
Tate comes back.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not going to
Hey,
just give
you
away
talk
his
about-
job.
We talked about this in the offseason when we talked about free agent signings. If you have a running back who spelled another running back and does great, you don't sign him to a big contract because he's garbage. Ben Tate only looked good because Arian Foster was in Houston. Now
Agreed.
he's a solo guy with a big contract.
Sure. No,
You know,
you see it all the time. I
The
understand.
one person I could say in recent history that has done that has actually been good was Michael Turner. When he left San Diego,
Sure.
backing up LaDainian Tomlinson, went to the Falcons.
They also had a huge passing game in Atlanta, which opened up the run.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying he actually produced, unlike Ben Tate.
All right, so what's your prediction for the second half of this game?
I'm gonna say the game ends. I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I'm gonna say the game ends 9-3.
Really? So Arizona wins 9-3.
One field goal. That's it. I'm calling it the most boring Monday Night Football. You know what's happening right now is the NFL. They need to do something about their scheduling because if you look at Monday Night Football, they put a better game on Sunday night than they do on Monday night.
Oh, you're damn right.
They need
they
to change
should.
that. No,
It's
they-
opening night.
I'm saying every week.
No, yeah,
We're gonna
you're
see
right.
like Carolina versus the Bears in like week 15, and the Bears and the Panthers will be like 2-13 versus 7.
Anyway, basically, I think the game's going to end 17-13 San Diego. I think San Diego's going to win the game, even though Arizona played well in the first
Okay.
half.
Okay.
I still think San Diego comes out on top. Let's talk about your top 3 surprises for week 1. What really shocked you as far as what happened?
Matt Castle and the Minnesota Vikings.
Dude, yeah, huge.
Matt Castle, you talk about they draft Teddy Bridgewater, and Matt Castle comes in, and he doesn't look like a game manager. Granted it's the Rams, and they just lost Bradford.
And then
but
they lost their
defense
second
is good.
string in Sean Hill.
Yeah, but
so
their-
they played
but
with their
their
third string
defense is
quarterback the
good.
whole time.
They got a good defensive line. They got a good
No,
defense.
yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad.
And he controlled the game and he made plays. The pass to Greg Jennings in the end zone.
Okay.
The
So
pass to Kyle
that's your
Rudolph
number
on the
3.
run. That's my number
All
3.
right, my number 3 is Brian Hoyer and the Cleveland Browns.
Okay.
I was actually shocked because in the second half they came out firing. They came out looking like they were a playoff team all of a sudden.
Yeah,
and in the first half they got dominated by
Could see
Pittsburgh.
Manziel in the second half.
Could have saw Manziel in the second half. Thank God that the Cleveland coach didn't have a short leash on Hoyer because it could have happened really quick and our bet could have started right away.
Yeah, it could have happened. Right.
But either way, Brian Hoyer came out in the second half, played like an all-pro quarterback, and led the Browns basically back into the game.
Okay.
And Steelers won by 3, but Hoyer still played well.
My number 2, I'm going to go with another team that lost, but I'm going to go with Reggie Wayne of the Indianapolis Colts. Here's a guy who
Why
was
is that a
injured.
surprise?
Well, here's a guy who's injured last year. T.Y. Hilton took over, and people were worrying about his reliability. He's getting up there in years, his speed, and he looked just like the Reggie Wayne we know, making the hard catches, getting the tough yards, and he brought that team back into that game. And I got to give it to Reggie Wayne. You know, his career could have been over. You know, he lost Peyton Manning a few years ago. He's got Andrew Luck. He got injured last year. You got a new wide receiver in T.Y. Hilton that, you know, showed that he could be the guy. So you'd think that they would target him more. Well,
No, I
Andrew
understand.
Luck's still going to Reggie
Oh, I got you.
Wayne.
My number 2 is Andy Dalton. He actually played like his contract says, which is a huge contract that everybody and their mother thought was the biggest mistake Cincinnati's ever made. And Andy Dalton played well, and he led the Bengals to a victory. Unfortunately for them, Tyler Eifert
that
ended up
sickening
with
elbow.
a disgusting elbow injury.
We're watching the games, and we got the Red Zone channel on, and it's like, oh, we'll go live to the Bengals game. And we literally watched this guy catch the pass, and the moment the guy got off of him, I'm like, oh, my God.
It was disgusting.
His
elbow was just... His forearm was disconnected from his elbow from about 3 inches.
It's like if you took
underneath the skin.
If you looked at your elbow,
disgusting, bro.
The other direction, the divot, it was
Either way, Andy Dalton played great. Here's your number 1.
My number 1 is Derek Carr.
Awesome, love it.
Played
great pick.
You know, they lose the game, they have a chance to win it at the end, but for a rookie, no picks. He played solid. He did what he had to do. He had no running game. He had no running game with Darren McFadden and Maurice Jones-Drew. Absolutely none. And usually, with a rookie, you depend on your running game to help him out. So when a rookie doesn't have a running game, he has a bad game. You look at T.J. Yates in the playoff game against Baltimore when Aaron Foster got shut down, right?
Yeah.
You look at those things, and for that guy to come out and keep his team in the game, I mean, they scored that late touchdown, and they got a minute and something left to win the game. And it depends on an onside kick. I think if they get that onside kick, he's probably going to lead them down and win that game. So I give it to Derek Carr, especially it's his first ever playoff experience. He was under pressure the whole time. You got to give it to him. He's a lot better than his older brother, that's for sure.
I'll give that to you.
Who's your number 1?
Unfortunately, well, I guess fortunately, my number 1 is Green Bay Packers. That is the biggest surprise to me. This is a team that people thought were going to win the Super Bowl. And they came out against Seattle, and they looked like a Canadian football team. Basically, they were passing on every down. They had no faith whatsoever in Eddie Lacy's running game. They handed it to him about, I think he had less than 15 rushes in the game.
Yeah.
Which is terrible for a team that's supposed to be a balanced attack.
Yeah.
Jordy Nelson basically had all the receiving yards for Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers did a whole lot of nothing because he was pressured. I think he got hit 7 times and sacked 3 times.
Yeah.
Like the meme we saw on Facebook.
Speaking of which,
go ahead.
Cliff Averill.
Dude.
You talk about
Denver.
solid. Well, no, Cliff Averill of.
Yeah.
He went to Detroit and Denver. He gets let go, and this guy makes sacks everywhere he goes.
It's the guy you were talking about that gets released from other teams and just shows up somewhere.
Yeah, and he's a quality player, and he was the main reason Aaron Rodgers was being pressured. I'm not surprised at the Packers, though. I'm not surprised at the Packers because they suck.
I'm not surprised they lost. I'm surprised that they're showing.
Oh, okay.
I'm surprised that they're showing. Yeah, I'm surprised that they didn't show up and play Seattle as good as I thought they would. Another surprise for me in that game was Richard Sherman. They didn't throw it at him 1 time.
Yeah, he's the best corner in the league.
Okay, but they threw it the other dude, and he had 4 blocked passes and an interception.
Yeah. Maxwell, who got the start.
So you're going to throw it the other
got
guy.
The drug suspension.
Throw it the other guy. That's fine. And you still don't throw it at Richard Sherman after the interception.
Speaking of surprises,
attack the safeties, bro.
Darrelle Revis of the Patriots got absolutely demolished by Mike Wallace on Sunday.
Yeah, they brought him in to be a game changer, and he has done absolutely nothing for that team.
Mike Wallace murdered that dude. And it's no surprise to me because when the Jets played the Steelers in the AFC Championship game, Mike Wallace had Darrelle Revis as well.
There goes your prediction.
San Diego scored. So it's not going to be 9-3.
You're right. It's going to be 17-13, like I said.
Darrelle Revis, they lose Khalib Talib, whatever, Aqib Talib or whatever to the Bucs.
Whatever, dude.
I can't say his name right. I murdered
He didn't lose him to the
names.
Bucs. He went somewhere else.
He went to the Buccaneers, I thought.
No, he didn't. He came
he
from
was
the Bucs.
from the Buccaneers. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you get Darrelle Revis in, and it's supposed to intimidate the people, and Tannehill's just
he went to
right
Denver.
Tannehill's throwing right at Mike Wallace. He's got no fear in it. He's like, oh, Darrelle Revis, watch out.
Look, they have a slot receiver, a little white boy like Wes Welker in Miami that everybody overlooks in Brian Hartline.
Yeah. Yep.
Brian Hartline is a great slot receiver, and everybody overlooks him. And when he goes across the middle, the safeties bite in.
Yeah.
When the safeties bite in, it leaves Wallace out deep.
Burnell.
Every single time. If one-on-one with a corner, Mike Wallace is faster than all those guys.
You know, every Steeler jersey I've ever bought, and the player left the next year.
I have a Devin Hester jersey. I wore it. Unfortunately, it's on Atlanta.
I have a Willie Parker jersey, a Rashard Mendenhall jersey, and a Mike Wallace jersey. And all 3 times I buy his jersey, the very next year he's gone.
Stop buying jerseys.
Yeah, I don't buy anymore. I don't buy anymore.
So you heard it here first. His prediction is gone already. San Diego's up 10-6. It's going to end 17-13, like I said. I'm Tony Gaglione.
I'm Sean Adams. Well, let me ask you something.
What?
Next week's breakout player.
C.J. Spiller's running for 150.
C.J. Spiller, I like that pick.
C.J. Spiller's running for 150.
I'm going to go with Giovanni Bernard of the Cincinnati Bengals.
That's not breakout. That's not breakout. He was a G last year.
212 yards, 2 TDs.
Okay, we'll see.
I'm Sean Adams. That's Tony Gaglione. Thanks for watching.